Guys, 2019 was a really big year for me. I proposed to my wife in the March of 2019 and we were getting married. By the November of 2019. Yes, we planned a whole wedding and a honeymoon in the space of 8 months and we pulled it off from start to finish. Solid work, okay? 4 months before the start of COVID as well. By the way, we were actually offered a wedding slot in the June of 2020. And we were really this close. We were tempted to go for it. It was like, it would be better weather. It would be a time of year when more people would want to come. But we went with the November and thank God we did. So it worked out really well. But guys, my grandmother passed away, okay, just less than a month before we actually got married. It was a very tough time for the family, okay? My family were arranging a funeral and planning a wedding at the same time. But little did we know that things were gonna get even worse than that. You see, there were disputes in the family over the assets that my grandmother left. I won't go into the details, but unfortunately, this isn't uncommon, okay? It's not an uncommon thing in families when parents or relatives or loved ones pass, okay? It is actually quite common. Fast forward 5 years to today. By my count, that's 1,852 days. Remember that number to today. There still hasn't been a resolution in terms of those assets that my grandmother owned, those getting sold, and those being passed down to the beneficiaries. 5 years on, still no resolution, okay? The house that my grandmother left, which was a main asset, wasn't sold 5 years later, and the family still haven't received a penny for my grandmother's assets that she worked her whole life for. She came over from Jamaica in the 60s. She worked her whole life in the NHS, helped rebuild the NHS as part of the Windrush generation that the British invited over to the country to help rebuild their industries and their infrastructure. She bought a house and it still hasn't been passed on to her children, okay? The only people that have been paid honestly and got something out of this over the last 5 years are the lawyers, guys. Tens of thousands of pounds in the lawyers' pockets. These situations are really a lawyer's dream, to be honest with you, when there's dispute over assets and it hasn't been well defined in terms of who they go to. Lawyers are incentivized, okay, to drag out these situations and get paid more and more money for as long as possible. 5 years in my family's case. So you're probably sitting here saying, hey Warren, this is a property investing channel, okay? Why are you telling us a story about estates, inheritance, and disputes over assets? What's that got to do with anything? Well, if you've watched my channel for long enough or watched enough videos on here, you'll know that I say over and over again that property is the second biggest source of wealth for all people in the UK. And similarly across the globe, okay? It's a huge source of wealth. And this whole last 5 years is 1,825 days of back and forth through lawyers and judges and will companies. It all could have been avoided, okay, if my grandparent, God rest her soul, got two things, right? A will and life insurance. A will would have clearly stated where those assets should go, and life insurance would actually have paid off, okay, the remaining mortgage if there was one, and or given her children, my aunties and uncles, a lump sum. I have life insurance, okay, for this very reason, and I have a will because I've seen what happened in my own family, and believe me, there is no way I'll let that happen in my case, okay, when I go. Hopefully a long time from now. And the thing about life insurance and wills is that they're not expensive, right? A will cost you a few £100, and a life insurance policy, if our age, most of you watching, I see from the demographics are in your 30s to 40s, still young. A life insurance policy at that age is not expensive. I mean, it's about the cost of a gym membership, there or thereabouts, okay? Not expensive at all. So it's a good idea to get it whilst you're young, whilst you're healthy, whilst you don't have any children, or if you're not married even, and over time you can add your children, spouses, etc. to it. And the idea is, guys, that when you pass eventually, we're all going to pass on eventually, your mortgage can get paid off, okay, by your life insurance. And also you can basically set it up to give your children a lump sum, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of pounds when you pass, so that they're set up right. Because a lot of us, okay, might have come, if you're similar to me, come from a working class background. So you wouldn't, like me, have been given, you know, tens of thousands of pounds to get your first property or tens of thousands of pounds to go to uni. If you're like me, we've got it out the mud. We've worked for every single thing that we've bought in this life. But how amazing would it be when we talk about generational wealth, okay, and preserving wealth and handing it down for our children to be just given, okay, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of pounds when we pass that they're set up for life, okay? And you know, when we're talking about our assets, whatever it is that we own, whether it's property, whether it's Bitcoin, stocks and shares, jewelry, antiques, whatever, the will define exactly where it should go and when. So your children, your grandchildren, your spouses, your loved ones won't be stuck in court trying to figure out, trying to battle amongst themselves who gets what. And in the process, handing over tens of thousands of pounds to courts, to judges, to lawyers, okay? That effectively is a leakage of wealth from your assets. Hey, my goal is to get as many people investing this year as possible, so I've created some free resources in a link in the description of this video below that you can download completely for free to get you started on your property investing journey. I've put together a property investing calculator specifically for all the viewers of this channel for free. You just enter a few basic numbers and it instantly calculates all of your costs, profits and returns automatically to help you make the decision on whether to potentially invest or not. I've also created a free fundamentals of property fact sheet that gives you all of the basics and key information that you need to know when buying property. And there's links with discounts on tax advice and tax return services, which are a key part of being a property investor. I hope you enjoy these free resources. Enjoy, and back to the video. So instead of your assets going straight to your grandchildren and your loved ones, you've got another hand, you've got multiple hands, whether they're lawyers, courts, will companies, etc., taking chunks of money that you've worked your whole life for. If it's not you, your parents, if they've passed, your grandparents that worked their whole life for, and just putting it straight into their pocket because somebody didn't take an hour, 2 hours at some stage in their life to define a will and buy a policy. So guys, this is a slight deviation from what I normally talk about on this channel, but it's really important because it's personal to me and it's personal to a lot of people out there. I mean, the truth is that there's a lot of communities, cultures, families who don't like to delve into that side of things when we're talking about passing on. In some ways, they might see it as morbid. I don't want to face or address the subject of passing on, right? But this isn't really about that. It's about taking care of your loved ones and your descendants and your children once you pass, to make sure that there's no issues when it comes to wealth being handed down to them and that they're set up for life. So guys, if what I've said in this video chimes with you and it resonates with you, take a look at the link in the description below. It's to a company called Unbiased. They have brokers, they have financial advisors who you can talk to about your future and your children's future, protecting your assets and your wealth that you're going to build up over your lifetime, and to make sure that it stays in the family and or goes to whoever it is that you want it to go to. And it's really easy. You answer a few questions and you'll be matched with a financial advisor in 24 hours. And the best part is once you're matched, you'll get a consultation completely for free. There's no obligation to continue if you choose not to, but take control of your financial future. Take control of your family wealth and your assets. If you're watching this channel, you're obviously assets and wealth minded, right? And those need to go to the right place, you know, once we pass on. So click the link in the description. It's also in the pinned comment, or head to unbiased.co.uk and start your journey now. Guys, I hope this was a useful video. Let me know if you've had similar experiences in your life, or you've got friends or people that you're close to who've experienced the same, because it's something that doesn't get talked about enough. Okay, it's really, really important, and it's something that we all really need to be taking care of. Guys, thanks as always for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys on the next one.